Hi, Max. I know you've been asking lately for more stories about your dad and about who he was and the funny things that he did. So here it is. I met your dad in December of 2007 when I started working at the Academy for Gifted Children, PACE. At the time, we were both hired as teachers there, and as soon as we met, I knew there was something really special about him. The way that he talked to people, the way that he lit up a room, and the way that he made everyone feel special and feel like he really cared. So I knew right away that he was somebody that I wanted to spend lots of time with, and I was really lucky that he wanted to spend time with me too. As we got to know each other, we did so many things together. We traveled to Hawaii, we traveled to Vegas, we did so many fun things in the short time that we knew each other. But the best thing was when we had you. And as soon as we took a pregnancy test, I was too nervous to even look at the results, but your dad was the first one to check and told me that we were going to have you. And from then on, everything changed. He would talk to my tummy with silly voices. He was so excited to get to meet you. We knew exactly what we wanted your name to be, but we didn't want to share what that was with the world yet, so we called you Little Bub. And you were his pride and joy right from that positive test. So the minute you were born, I knew that his whole life changed. You could tell the way that he looked at you. You were his best friend and his little buddy, and he was always so excited to sing you stories or tell you stories and sing you songs and just be around you. I know it hurt him a lot that he was sick for a lot of the time that he was able to spend with you, and when it got to the point when he couldn't pick you up anymore, he was so sad about that because he just wanted to spend every minute with you. He wanted to see you laugh and see all of your amazing firsts and get to know you and let you get to know him. So on what would have been coming up to his 40th birthday, I thought the best way to celebrate your dad, Saul, and show you who he really was would be to ask some experts. So I've collected some of the people that knew your dad even longer than me, and I hope you enjoy what I put together. I love you.
Hey Max, my name is Lucas Jacobs, and I met your dad back in 1995, so exactly 25 years ago this month. We met at Camp New Moon. Even though I'm a year older than him, we became friends and we hung out. You would see his bright red hair across the field from like a mile away. His laugh, Max's laugh and his smile literally would fill up a whole room. We went on to play some floor hockey together. We played softball together. And it's just this time of the year, we take a step back and we just remember your dad for just honestly, just what a great person he was. Hopefully you will cherish these videos that your mom has put together for you as an amazing memory. And hopefully you just know how absolutely lucky you are to have had Saul as your father for the time you did. And just know that all of us are always here for you whenever you need, if you guys ever need anything. All right, take care, buddy.
Hi Max, I'm Sean. This is Reed. Max, anyways, I was really good friends with your father, and I wanted to tell you that how such a great guy he was, and the great memories I have with Saul is playing hockey and baseball, and he always had a smile on his face. He was always having fun. It didn't matter what we win or lose. He was the best, always smiling. Greatest guy ever. And the memories I have from him, we used to go get up at 6 in the morning and go play in a charity road hockey tournament, meet at a bagel place. And I'd walk in and he'd always give me the finger. That was the first thing he'd do every morning, every year. Anyways, your father was such a great guy. I know his birthday's coming up. I know it was your birthday last week. Happy birthday. What do we say to Max?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. And your mom will show you the pictures of Saul and I on Facebook so you can see them all from our hockey days and stuff. Okay? We miss you. We'll see you soon. I haven't seen you in so long, but we'll see you soon. Okay, buddy? What do you say to Max?
Bye.
Bye, Max.
Hey Max, my name is David Noon, and I had the pleasure of being one of your dad's buddies, and I miss him terribly. He's always a great dude. He was always the life of the party. I remember once there was a Halloween party, and I had to leave early for some reason. And I remember down the street was this man dressed as Batman, just this huge dude. He actually looked like Batman. And I'm looking over, I'm like, oh my God, who is this guy? And all of a sudden you see the smile from under the mask, and I'm like, hey Saul, what's happening? And he always had that smile. That was it. You know, he was always one of the tallest, biggest guys in the room, but he always had the biggest smile also. And his smile is something I think about all the time. And I miss your dad terribly. And you should feel very proud that he was your father, really, truly. And I only wish the best for you and your mom. Okay, be good, guys. Bye.
Hey Max, it's Ryan. I hope you are doing well. I can't believe how big and grown up you are now. I haven't seen you in such a long time. I know this year would have been your dad's 40th birthday, and when your mom asked if I would be willing to record a little video, I was happy to do it. I just didn't really know how to explain to you what your dad meant to me and who your dad was. I can tell you that your dad, very simply put, was the best friend that I ever had. And I miss him so incredibly every single day, as I'm sure you do also. He was the funniest, happiest, sweetest, best person. And he was the person that I could always go to, that would never judge me, that would always be there for me. And he was, simply put, really one of a kind. I loved him with all of my heart, and miss him every single day. Like I said, there's nothing to me in this world that could replace the void that's been left without him. But you know, I try to always think back to the really funny memories and amazing times that we shared together. The one thing that will always stick out to me was your dad had the chance to play in a hockey game in Montreal during one of our fraternity road trips. And your dad got a penalty. When he went to the penalty box, he turned around and looked at all of us who were sitting in the stands. And he then decided to take off all of the upper part of his gear. So he took off his jersey, his shoulder pads, his elbow pads, until he was topless in the penalty box, and then decided to take his jersey and start waving it above his head like a crazy animal. And I will forever remember that as one of the funniest things that I've ever seen him do. My other personal favorite was his entire dance routine to Beyonce's Single Lady. So I hope that this video made you smile and gave you a little bit of an insight into what your dad meant to me. But I hope you're doing well, and I miss you, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.
Hey Max, it's Jordan and Brooke Halpert. We were super close friends with your dad, Saul. I met your dad in my first year university, and we became amazing friends really quickly right after that. He was an amazing guy, always willing to do whatever it took for his friends, and had such a kind heart. But the thing I think I remember most about him was his massive appetite, and that he loved food more than anything and anyone in his entire life. And I remember one day we had a 9 a.m. hockey game, and he came to the game, and before we got out of the change room onto the ice, he had both a hot dog and a plate of sushi, and literally almost threw up on the ice during the game, that he was so sick. Not to say that stopped him from doing things like that again, but you know, just proves how much he really did love his food.
We loved spending time with your dad. We spent many New Year's Eves together, going for dinner and hanging out and playing video games. We loved going out together on a Saturday night and just chatting in Central Square, which was the place to hang out at York University, where we went to school. He was an amazing guy, sensitive, very funny, and loved his sushi. We miss your dad very much. He was an incredible person.
Thanks, Max. Take care.
Hey Max, it's Michael here. I'm an old good friend of your dad's, and I was asked by your mom to submit a story or something about your dad. So I just wanted to tell you a quick little tidbit. One day we went skiing, and it was me, your dad, and another friend, Jordan, and the entire day pretty much sums up everything you need to know about your dad. We talked about everything and everything, and it was just crazy story after crazy story after crazy story, and making the silliest of things up. And I've never laughed so hard as I did on that day. We'd go down the hill, and we sit on the ski lift going up the hill, and that was the best part. So as much fun as we were having doing the actual activity skiing, the fun that was had was going up the chairlift, just talking about the craziest of things and laughing and laughing and laughing. And the funniest part of the whole day was actually on the way home, where we thought we were continuing the stories. I was driving, I looked behind me, and your dad was fast asleep. So I guess it was a very busy day for him, because it really put him to sleep way too quickly. But Max, your dad was an incredible guy, always laughing, always amazing. So I hope you can keep that memory, and always remember, just be silly and be yourself and always have fun, because that is exactly what he would tell you to do. Bye, buddy. Hi, Max. My name is Sumanan. I actually worked with your dad many years ago, for a very long time at Zodiac. We were both spirit coordinators. I've known him for many years. Every time I wear a Batman shirt, I think of your dad. I'm also a phys ed teacher as well. Every year when we do our Cherry Fox run, I always talk about your dad to all my students. Your dad taught me a lot about being a role model. His energy was incredible. We would always dance together, they used to call me Superman at camp, and he was my Batman. I miss your dad a lot, and I just want to let you know that your dad was a very special person, and we wish him all a happy birthday to your dad, and hope to get to see you sometime soon, Max. Take care. Bye.
Hi, Max. I don't know if you remember me. My name is Zach. I work at Camp Zodiac for the last 10 summers. I actually remember you coming to the Zodiac staff party the last couple of years, and I remember last year chasing you around the theater last summer. You're a fast runner, and you definitely have the same energy as your dad. I had the honor of working with your dad. It was 11 summers ago that I started working at Zodiac. I was 15 years old. Your dad was an amazing, nice, fun, funny, enthusiastic, and energetic person. We both love sports, and we both love talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs. I hope to see you soon, and stay healthy.
Hi, Max. It's Holly. Hi, remember me from Zodiac? Anyway, Max, I have lots of fond memories of your dad, Saul, and I just wanted to share a couple of them with you. I guess it started well before you were born, when I started to work at Zodiac at Toronto French School. And your dad was always the life of the party. He always had a smile on his face, and he always wrote letters to my kids at sleepover camp. Every day he was the one who reminded me it was time to write, and when I didn't know what to write, he took over and wrote them for me. Another memory I have is, actually, I think he made me buy a wag jag to go to Safari Niagara. And it turned out that we were in Niagara Falls with you. You must have been 3 months old, not even. It was August, or maybe September, with you and your mom and your dad. And we went to Niagara Falls, and we went out for dinner. And my kids loved pushing you in the stroller, and we had the best time. And the next day we went to Safari Niagara. I don't think you guys came, but I will always associate Safari Niagara with your dad. Max, it has been amazing to watch you as a camper at Zodiac and live through all the spirit ideas that were your dad's ideas that we've executed over the years, and not a spirit goes by that we don't think of him. So we love seeing your face at Zodiac. We can't wait till Zodiac's back and up and running again, that we can see you. And I love that your mom brings you by to see me and to see us. And watching you grow on Facebook and on your YouTube channel has been fabulous. you're a chip off the old block. Take care, Max. Love you.
Hi Max, it's Joe. I hope you remember me from Zodiac. I have so many amazing things to say about your dad. I don't think this video is long enough. I met your dad when I first started working at Zodiac, and he was the most unbelievable mentor anyone could ever ask for. He was so unbelievably warm-hearted, always so honest and stubborn and open, and just always there for me when I needed him. He always knew when something was, not feeling right with me, and he would always, try to communicate with me and get it out of my system. He always gave me a different perspective on things and always kept me less stressed. The job was new for me, and he would always come up with the most incredible ideas on the spot. And to this day, I still do all of the same things that he taught me. He was a trendsetter. He would just come up with silly, stupid sayings, and we would go with it, and it would still be used today. Pie in the face is a huge, huge, huge tradition. Every Friday we are pieing people in the face, and I'm still always thinking of him when that happens. Every day I finish Spirit by saying, wear your hats, wear your sunscreen, drink plenty of water, because if you're thirsty, it's too late. And that was Saul's. And so he is at camp with me every single day, and when you were at camp, it was just a huge bonus to have you there. He was always wanting to dress up. Like, he would always be the first one to make a fool of himself. He didn't care. He wore his toga. Any excuse to be naked somehow, wearing a toga. He always wore his Batman suit every year. He just was such an inspiration to me and all of the kids, because he was filled with love, joy, warmth. He always meowed. He had a cat meow. He had an amazing giggle laugh that was infectious. And we will always remember him, and you're in him. I mean, he's in you. I see him in you, and I'm so happy to be giving you this memory of him, and I hope that you'll watch it for many years to come. Mwah! Happy birthday, Saul!
Hi Max, it's Danny from Zodiac. Anyways, I just want to let you know a few things about your dad, Saul, from our Zodiac days. Saul, first of all, wasn't just somebody I got to work with, but Saul, to me, was a really good friend. And nobody could put a costume on as well as your dad could. It didn't matter what the costume was, whether he was dressed as Bob the Dragon, whether he was in his Spider-Man outfit or wearing his pink boa. He wore them all just amazing. And I have to tell you, when I saw you running around Zodiac, I could just see, very much like your dad, the same spirit. Anyways, keep the spirit you have, because that spirit is amazing, and I know that that spirit is you keeping your dad's legacy alive, and we love that.
Hey Max, Tara, and family. What can we say about Saul Swartz?
Saul was truly one of a kind. When I think of words to describe Saul, I think of creative, fun, warm, kind, inclusive, really, as Rick said, one of a kind.
He is somebody who made a profound impact in our lives. He was like, with all due respect to his own family, like a brother, like a son. He truly was part of not only the Zodiac family, but the Howard family. And we miss him terribly, but we are so thrilled to see his legacy living on through Max and in all the other ways and the people that he touched over his very impactful life.
We first met Saul when he was 17, and he came to Zodiac Day Camp as a staff member. It was one of his first jobs, and he embraced the role. He embraced the opportunity to make unbelievable lifelong connections with kids, with fellow staff, with us as his employers, but we were more than that. He was a guy that took every opportunity to dress up, to wear a costume, to exude this superhero power of Batman or Superman or Saul.
He really is somebody who was inspiring to so many. And Max, you didn't get to know him nearly as long as you should have, but you can know that he is somebody who is part of you and will always be part of you. And everything that we see about you, he would be incredibly proud of the young man that you are and that we know that you will be. And hopefully one day you'll have your own legacy, whether at Zodiac, other camps, and in so many other ways, to be the same kind of special person that your dad was.
Saul, we loved him, we miss him, and we look forward to seeing you grow and just enjoy your family, enjoy life, and continue to be kind, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Hi Max, this is Tima, Uncle EJ's favorite mother. I met your dada many, many years ago when Uncle EJ and Auntie Rachie met, fell in love, and then got married. He was still a bachelor at that time and was so full of life. He welcomed me into the Swartz family and made me feel so comfortable. Your daddy had a love of life, he had a love of children, and he had a love of making others laugh. Whenever a kid would come to my office for treatment and they would say to me that they were at Pace or at Zodiac, I would mention Solomon's name, and the kid's eyes would just light up. Your dad was so much fun to be around. He was a teacher, he was an instructor, he was a mentor, and the children loved him. When your dada met your mother, he was smitten. He had really met his soulmate. Unfortunately, the years that they had together were cut short, but he left a legacy before he passed away. He left you. Even when he was going through his treatments and he was so uncomfortable, he still made people laugh. And I was so excited when I found out your mummy was pregnant that he would meet you one day. And he actually got to enjoy you until the very end. His life was cut short, but his memories will endure forever. You have his spunkiness, you have his sense of humor, and you have that twinkle in his eye that's in your eye. You now have a wonderful family again who love you, respect you, and continue to cherish the memories of your dad. You are a lucky boy. You've been left a legacy, and you are, was, and will always make your dada proud.
Hi Max, your mom asked us to share some memories of Saul, your dada, and I also wanted to thank you again for the beautiful bracelet you made me to raise money for charity. I love it. As his older cousin, I knew your dada from when he was a baby. He always had a big smile, a great laugh that made me smile and laugh too. I remember when he was a child that he would run, he would jump, he would climb all day. He had so much energy until he was so tired he would just flop down. Once he ran around our house from room to room to room until we all piled onto our bed for a Swartz group hug. That was the only thing that would calm him down, actually. His hugs, well, it was like hugging a big teddy bear with red hair and freckles. I loved when he came to our cottage where he would play croquet, baseball, we would swim, we would water ski, we would enjoy a big meal together with all of the Swartz family. That was really great memories. And then when you were born, he would bring you, your mom, to our house and you'd come for a visit. And then sometimes we'd meet at our restaurant Smash, where he just loved the donuts. They were so good, yummy. I hope we'll all get to meet there once things open up again soon. And I just wanted to thank you for including me in this group of memories for Saul, your dada. Love you.
Hi, Max. It's your cousin Lewis. Thanks for letting me be in this video to honor your dad. I met your dad when he was about your age, actually, running around at the cottage with your Uncle Jeff all day long. And then not long after, when he was a teenager, he was like a big brother to my kids, who were also around your age at that time. And as a matter of fact, my son Jordan would only allow either your dad or your Uncle Jeff to babysit him. Nobody else was approved by Jordan. I have a story to tell you. I don't know if you know that your dad, when he was in university, worked at my restaurant called Shopsy's for a few summers, and he was probably one of our best employees, and one best employee more than once while he was there. He was an amazing guy, your dad. We loved him very much, and we miss him. Bye, Max.
Hi, Max. It's Cousin Marcia. I just wanted to wish you a happy 7th birthday and tell you a little bit about your dad, Solomon Andrew, as your Bobby used to call him. But really, he was a character, but wonderful, big heart, funny, and always willing to come no matter what. He always showed up to every family event and really cared about everybody. He even taught Michael how to play hockey when he was almost 30 and included everybody in everything he did. And he was also my date at Jordan's wedding, believe it or not. Cousin Saul wasn't dancing at that point because he had a sore leg, so your daddy was my date. And we had so much fun, and I was always called Cousin Mom Marcia. But really, he was the greatest guy, always remembered birthdays, anniversaries, and any event. He was part of everybody's life, and you, I can see by all the pictures that your mom posts of you, are just like him. Full of life, funny, a great dancer, just like your dad, and most importantly, the greatest kid. Max, you're wonderful. You're so lucky to have Mummy, Pat, and the girls in your life, and it's so much fun watching you grow up from a baby. I hope to see you soon, and remember, you're the greatest kid. You've got the best of everybody, and you're still part of our family. Love you, Max.
Hey, Max. My name is Shauna. Your dad and I think we're second cousins, which would make us maybe third cousins or second cousins once removed. I'm not sure. But either way, we're cousins. And what I remember most about your dad was that we didn't get to see each other a lot, but when we did, it was always really exciting because we were the same age, and in my family, I was the oldest, and my cousin next closest in age to me was probably 5 years younger. So it was always fun to see your dad because it was someone who I could really relate to, and we could really get into all sorts of mischief and do fun things together, and who really understood me because when I was, growing up, all the rest of the kids were so much younger. So we had a lot of fun and we got into a lot of mischief together. My mom always told me that she was really envious of your dad because he had this awesome red hair, and that reminded my mom of her dad, my Zadie, and she always had wished that one of us had gotten the red hair. And I got a little bit of auburn highlights in here, but not the same. So I really remember that, and we would do all fun things. And for a while, we lost touch, but then I got this awesome opportunity to work with your dad when we were counselors at Zodiac, a swim and specialty camp. And that was a lot of fun, and we got to know each other more as grown-ups. We were in our 20s, but more as grown-ups, and really remember him being so kind and loving, a great guy to talk to, and that I could share all my my secrets with and trust him. And my favorite memory was a program that we did together where we all had to dress up as wrestlers, and we had like a real wrestling match in a ring, and we all got into these really silly and ridiculous costumes and put face paint on our faces, and we had a whole skit. And I remember, I think your dad and I even were part of the organizers of that, and it was creative like your dad was, and it was silly like your dad was, and we had a lot of fun doing it, and it's a great memory that sticks out in my mind. I think about him a lot and how much he loved life and made the most of every moment. And now when I'm a camp director myself, he inspires me to help other kids who are coming to camp realize that being silly and being themselves and having fun is just the most important thing that they can do, and helps make their lives that much better. And you know, he really inspires me, and I miss him a lot, as I'm sure you do too. So I hope this year that I got to turn 40, and I miss being able to celebrate with him, for him to turn 40, but I'm so happy to be able to share a little bit about him with you and to give you a taste of how awesome he was. He really was a great guy, and I miss him a lot. Max, you're awesome. I hope I get to meet you. Keep growing strong, and know that you are loved by a lot of people, just like your dad was. Bye.
Hi, Max. I'm Melanie, and I wanted to tell you about your dad. I knew him when he taught all 4 of my kids when they went to the school PACE, and not only was he a special teacher for all of them, but he was also a really excellent coach in so many sports, and all of my kids love sports, and their favorite classes were the ones that they did with your dad, because he was such a fun teacher and a caring teacher, and he really got to know his students personally. In fact, 3 of my kids had some difficulties with some of the courses that weren't necessarily the courses he was teaching, but he even came by my house and gave them some special tutoring, because we lived really close and still do to your grandparents. So he came by quite often to give them personal tutoring as well as teaching them at PACE. And all of my kids had so much fun with your dad at PACE, and they all miss him dearly, as I'm sure you and your mom do. And it's hard to believe he would have been 40 this year. It's so special, and I think about your father all the time, because I always appreciated how much he really reached out to help the kids when they were having difficulties. And he was more than a teacher. He was actually a really good friend. So I hope that helps give you an idea of what a special guy your dad was, and wishing you and your mom all the best.
Hi Max, my name is Lily. I knew your dad. He was one of my teachers when I was in, I think, grade 6, 7, and 8, when he was a teacher at PACE. And he was an amazing teacher, one of the best teachers I had. I'm going to tell you why he was such a great teacher, because he had this quality that not a lot of teachers have. He taught us gym class and health class, and when you're maybe in grade 6, 7, 8, those classes are a little bit awkward. I mean, you talk about your body, you run around, and people maybe feel a little bit self-conscious when they're that age. And your dad, I just remember, he made everyone feel safe and accepted. And not every teacher who teaches kids that age can do that. He was the kind of person that you could ask him really any questions, even if it was an awkward question or something you wouldn't feel safe asking for to another teacher, and he would just listen to you, and he would give you the best answer that he could. And I just remember feeling really safe around him, and I remember that he just was so non-judgmental and a calming presence, and just so welcome in that stage of my life. I was so sorry to hear that he was ill and then that he passed. And I'm really glad that your mom is doing this to be able to make his memory alive, because he was so, so wonderful. And I hope that you're able to really take those best parts of him and really be able to remember him the best that you can. Anyway, bye now.
Hi, my name is Mark. Mr. Swartz was my math teacher, but really I got to know him better as my volleyball coach. Aside from being a great teacher and honestly an amazing coach, he was really just an incredibly fun person to be around. He always managed to light up my day, whether it was, during volleyball practice or even during math class. I think the most memorable thing for me was that he had a way of bringing out the best in his students without the stress or tension that can really often come with the competitive environment that we were in. A lot of times I feel like I had extra motivation just of the sheer positive energy he gave off, because it felt like he was there supporting us and he really always wanted to watch us succeed. I remember all throughout high school I spent a lot of time tutoring, and I would remember a lot of things that he taught me and really try and do a lot of things that I know that he did for me. And I still play volleyball in university, and a lot of times I remember him when I do. Yeah, thanks for everything.
Now, I never knew Saul personally, as he'd never taught me in any of my classes, but I do know the kind of person he was. He was a kind, friendly, caring person that would always put his students first. He would always try his best to make sure everyone is included and always have the most fun with students. And he was just a great guy, just the kind of person that everyone would want to be around, the kind of person that spreads joy to everyone. And his charisma and charm would just make sure that the hallways of Pace would be nice and bright, and everyone would have smiles on their faces. Max was very lucky.
Hi Max, my name is Cassidy, and I was one of your mom's students all the way back when I was in grade 4. And even though it's been 10 years, she is still my favorite teacher. Anyways, I wanted to share a few memories of your dad, Mr. Swartz, in honor of his 40th birthday this year. Mr. Swartz was the funny teacher who always had a smile on his face and always made jokes and could make the other students laugh. He participated in every school event that he was asked to take part in, not just because he had to, but because he wanted to. And although I never had him as a teacher, I did learn quite a few things from him. Like when he would come into our basketball practices and teach me how to do layups. I remember him and your mom bringing each other Starbucks while all the other grade 4s speculated if there was something going on there. I even remember in grade 6, my teacher, Miss Proper, asked my friends and I to barge into your mom's classroom and yell out that she was pregnant with you because she wanted to tell her students, but our principal didn't really want her to. Right from the start, it was clear how proud your parents were of you. Your mom and Saul had so much love for each other, and there's no doubt that he had an immeasurable amount of love for you. He was a wonderful person, and I'm really glad to have known him.
It's hard to describe Mr. Swartz without missing anything. He was the most fun teacher you could imagine. He was always making jokes with us, and if we were extra good, he'd even do animal noises for us, because he was really good at them, especially the giraffe. And he was never afraid to be silly. And I always remember this video he did for the Pace Talent Show. It was this like a little one-man play with just a paper bow, and he'd move it around from his head to his mustache to his tie, doing different voices and just acting out this little skit, and it never fails to make me laugh.
Hi Max, my name is Ida, and for the longest time I knew your dad as Mr. Swartz because he was one of my favorite middle school teachers. Specifically to this day, 8 years later, I remember that he taught me first period gym class in 8th grade and 6th period math class after lunch. Looking back at Mr. Swartz's legacy on his 40th birthday, I think a lot of people will have so much things to say. We can talk about his legacy that he left at Pace, as a whole school, in the classroom, and how he impacted the classes he taught. But I think looking back, what I find most inspiring about Mr. Swartz is how he connected with his individual students on a personal level and really got to know their passions, their struggles, their challenges, their goals at such a young age. Looking back, I feel like Mr. Swartz really got to know me and my goals of what I wanted to study or what I was interested in. I still remember talking to him about basketball and the NBA in between gym class, and he really pushed my thinking in all aspects of life and not just what was in our textbook or what was assigned for homework. But what I think any student that had Mr. Swartz could say is that he made learning fun. And to this day, I think the reason that I wake up every morning and I go to school and I go to university is because from a young age, Mr. Swartz really motivated us to love what we learn and find what we love to learn. And that's something that you sometimes don't see. And it's beautiful that we would all wake up and we were excited for an hour of gym class because we did not know what we were getting ourselves into. And we would exercise and sweat and laugh. And then after lunch, we would go into math class and we would learn so much, but it didn't feel like an hour of math. It felt like an hour of fun. And I think that was beautiful. So I hope you got to learn a little bit more about what it was like having Mr. Swartz as an 8th grade teacher. To this day, I think he really motivated me to want to be a more positive person, and anyone that had worked with him or was his student would know that the second he walked into the classroom, the energy of the room just lifted. Everyone was ready to smile and learn and share their ideas, and I think that's something rare. So in the future, I hope that's something I can learn, and I think the world would be a better place if more people had that.
I remember Mr. Swartz really well for his gym classes with us because I happened to break my finger that year and I couldn't play a lot of sports, which meant I got to spend a lot of time with Mr. Swartz on the sidelines. He would try to get me to referee flag football, and I was so terrible at it. No matter how many games we played, I never got the hang of it. But the thing I really enjoyed was getting to do a touchdown sign at every touchdown of the game, so he made sure to look at me every time there was a touchdown so I'd know what was going on and get to give the big touchdown sign. And that's just one of tons of fun and sweet things he did for us, which also includes taking us out of class to play badminton on a snow day, or asking me to stop faking sick to miss gym because he missed having me there, or defending my hot pink Doc Martens when an older kid made fun of them. So happy birthday to Mr. Swartz, one of the most fun and sweetest teachers I will ever have.
Hi Max, my name's Amy. I am one of your dad's old students. I had him as a teacher from grade 8 until grade 12, and I thought I'd share with you some of the great things about him. I know that his 40th birthday would have been coming up, so so he definitely was the funniest, the most entertaining teacher that I've ever had. One thing that I'm sure your mom has told you so much about is that he definitely loved his food. So a funny story I want to tell you was in grade 12, a bunch of us would go on break and we'd go to, a friend's house was pretty close by, so on lunch we'd go and just hang out there, and then we'd definitely be running late for his class that was right after lunch. And he would always let us come in late and not make us get a late slip as long as we brought him a burger from McDonald's. So that's what we always did. And he also we didn't need a late slip, we didn't get in trouble, and it was something that was just so funny about him. He also just, every class made jokes, was such a pleasure to be around. And I know that, you probably don't remember, but when you were about 1.5, I went out with your mom to What a Bagel with you, and you tried ketchup and you were in love. So I think you get that from your dad, that you are so in love with food. Not sure if you love ketchup now, but anyways, that was a fun time that I had with you, and it's so great to see you growing up, and you look so much like your dad, and I'm sure he's so proud of everything you've achieved thus far, and I miss him greatly, and just wanted you to know what a positive experience he had, a positive impact, I should say, that he had in my life, all the positive experiences we had, making everything fun, from out of school activities, like prom and semi-formals, and just everything that he taught was, he needed to make a joke out of it, and that's what made learning so much fun. Happy birthday to your dad.
Don't tell anybody, but
Saul was my favorite teacher. He was so goofy and funny and always made learning such a great experience. He made songs, he made dances, you name it, and he would do it. But the best part about Saul was how much he cared. Whenever I had a bad day, he would always take me aside and check in with me and ask me if everything was okay. He was the best teacher, but he was also a great friend.
Hi, my name is Ari Zuckerbrod. I was one of Saul's students at Pace. He taught me gym, health, data management. He was my coach in basketball and volleyball, and he was truly more than just a teacher and a coach to me. He was a friend, he was a mentor, and he was a one-of-a-kind and special person that myself and pretty much everyone I knew at Pace truly looked up to in so many ways. And I'll just share one story that I look back on all the time and think about really fondly, and I think speaks to the kind of person that Saul was. We went on a school field trip to space camp in Montreal. I know, super nerdy. And Saul was the teacher chaperone along with the principal of the school. And we had bedrooms that were bunk beds, 4 or 6 people to a room. And we had a strict curfew of 9:30 p.m. where they turned the lights off. And I remember Saul, one night, we were up in our room past the curfew being so loud. And Saul came in and we thought he was going to tell us to be quiet and get us in trouble or something. And he ended up just coming in and sitting down and telling jokes and funny stories and stories from his life for about an hour or two. And it was just like so amazing and shocking that a teacher would do that and just relate to us on such a human level. And it really taught me a lot, and it was so special. And before then, but from that point forward, I think that we had a really, truly special relationship. I looked up to him. I would ask, he was the first person I would go to for pretty much any issue I had at Pace, good things and bad things. And I think that when I think today about the impact Saul had on my life, you know, there are a lot of people in this world who take themselves really seriously. Now, Saul took his work very seriously, but he brought an attitude of joy and love and laughter and caring into everything he did. And that really rubbed off on me and how I try to act today within my work or my interactions with friends or family. In everything I do, I try to act how Saul would have acted. And I think that there's a whole generation of kids from Pace or Zodiac Camp who are better off today for having learned that lesson from him at that stage in our lives. And I loved Saul, and he'll always have a very special place in my heart.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Sasha.
And I'm Rachel.
And we were Mr. Swartz's students. We graduated back in 2012. So he taught us ever since grade 7. So we would have been his first class at Pace.
And we were a total terror. We were a total disaster.
Not just us, the whole class. The whole class was kind of a disaster. And to be fair, grade 7s are an unruly bunch. But with him being a new teacher and us trying to figure out that we are, human beings capable of higher reasoning, we ended up growing together. And then we ended up taking a bunch of classes with him.
Yeah, so many classes.
Gym, math,
functions,
advanced functions,
data management.
Yes.
I think those are it.
Yeah, and I actually use some of those skills that he taught me today. I'm doing my PhD in clinical psychology, so I do a lot of statistics as part of that. And honestly, like, some of the things that he taught us were like the basis for a lot of my stats courses in my undergrad and grad degrees.
And I'm a lawyer, and I don't think I use any of the math that he taught us, or health, really. But, I did see him as a great role model, and from him I learned empathy and compassion, and to approach everything with a sense of humor. You know this, but Mr. Swartz is hilarious. We've got so many little stories. One of them is the grilled cheese story. Mm-hmm. So Sasha and I were both on student council, and we would always escape to make grilled cheese sandwiches, like hundreds of grilled cheese sandwiches.
Trying to get out of class, but also doing our duties to feed the school.
And so we'd go and we'd be like 30 minutes late to class, and classes were only like 50 minutes anyways. And we'd come back to class and he'd be so mad because we were so late. But then, you know, we'd give him 2 grilled cheese sandwiches and it was all okay.
All good. And we were doing well in class anyways. Part of that might have been, you know, like I have this vivid memory of us sitting in the classroom and Rachel and I had our desks beside each other. And it was like this one math test. And I very distinctly remember we were both cheating off of each other.
But we knew the answers already.
But we knew the answers. So we weren't actually trying to look at each other to see, like, to get the answer. We were both looking to make sure we both got the same answer and that we were both correct.
And we did. We were right.
And I remember, like, both of us were, like, looking, like, across the way at each other's desk. And we just, like, both look up. And Mr. Swartz is just, like, looking at us, like,
ladies,
what? And we're like, we're not doing anything, like, halfway across the aisle.
Maybe we should have gotten in trouble, but we didn't. And we're grateful.
Yeah, very.
And look, we turned out okay, so
I think we're
not encouraging
pretty decent
answer cross-referencing, but
no. On homework, sure. On tests, probably not.
And yeah, so that's it.
Mm-hmm. We honestly had the privilege of knowing him, and he was a big part of our lives at that time.
Yeah, we talk about him honestly for still often.
We do.
Hey Max, I hope you're doing well. I don't know if you remember exactly who I am because we only met a couple times when you were really young, but my name is Adnan, and your dad taught me at PACE for 6 or 7 years. He taught me a bunch of different subjects: math, data management, gym, health. He was a coach of mine for a bunch of sports. But outside of that classroom, he actually taught me a bunch of things, and I thought I would take time in this video to share a few of those things with you. The first thing that he taught me was how to correctly tuck in my shirt. When I was in grade 8, we were a part of a fashion show, and we had to wear these suits on stage for one of the scenes. And your dad taught me that if I really want a clean tuck, you just put your hand through your fly and pull down your shirt from there, and it'll allow you to get a really crisp tuck. I definitely think you should try it. I've never heard that before, and I use it every day now. The second thing that I remember, something special that he used to do was he used to really often, maybe 3 or 4 times a week, bring an Egg McMuffin to school either in the morning or right after lunch. And he would eat it in a way that he would take a bite, turn it, take another bite, turn it, take another bite, until he got all the way around the Egg McMuffin. And so one day after class, I asked him why he did that. And he told me that he always loved saving the middle for last because it was the best for him. And now I can never go get McDonald's breakfast without thinking about your dad. So that's the second thing. And the third thing that I learned, and something that I've thought about for the last couple years, especially, is that if you take the time to get to know people and get to know people's stories and share smiles with them on a daily basis, you will change the way the world thinks about you and the way people think about each other. And you'll impact everyone you meet. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why your dad has been loved for so long by so many people, and why so many people miss him. And so I think that's my time on the video, but I hope you're doing well, and I want to wish Mr. Swartz a very, very happy 40th birthday. Take care.
Hi Max, my name is Divya. I'm an ex-student of your mom and of your dad. Your mom asked us to make these videos to tell you what kind of man your dad was. So for me, your dad taught me math, he taught me health, he taught me gym, he was my volleyball coach, my golf coach, and really just like an everything coach to me. He was so optimistic, so positive, so caring, so thoughtful. He cared so much about his students and their lives, and I really miss that. I always looked forward to all my classes with your dad. He always made them fun, even when they weren't fun. He had a way of really getting through to all of his students. I also had the pleasure of knowing him outside of school. We used to play volleyball together with your mom as well. I just remember just being around such a positive influence in my life as such a young person, just made such a huge impact for me and really changed the way that I thought about the world. So I know today it would have been his 40th birthday, and I definitely miss him a lot, but I'm so glad that I've had the chance to meet you and stay in touch with your mom. And so I really look forward to seeing what kind of young man you become, because I know with your dad and your mom, your stepdad, you just have the most amazing influences around you that will ensure that you end up being as wonderful a man as your dad was. So, yeah.
Hey Max, my name is Sarah, and years ago I was a student of both your mom and your dad. Your mom taught me in elementary school and your dad taught me in middle school, and to this day the both of them are single-handedly two of the best teachers I've ever had. They did such an incredible job of really teaching students so much, but doing it in the absolute best environment possible. Your dad was one of the kindest souls out there. He radiated so much positivity and really made everyone around him laugh so much. Whatever classroom he walked into, I feel like in a matter of seconds, the entire room was filled with laughter. And he was a really good mentor and a really great teacher, and he really taught a lot of us more than just math or health or gym or whatever it was. He really taught us how to work hard and just be very, very positive and just have a really strong mentality and outlook on everything that we take on. For me personally, whenever I faced any challenges in whatever subject it may have been, he was constantly reassuring you to just, do your best and just try your hardest, and in the end you'll see that reward. And it was a great mentality to sort of pass on to students because, a lot of us did struggle in certain areas and didn't know exactly how to sort of overcome that, and he was always there to make you laugh but make you work hard, and that was incredible. He was constantly putting on funny theater skits with silly accents, even if it was teaching a math class. He was the best basketball coach. He was constantly telling me to stop taking half-court shots and try a layup instead, but even if I wouldn't listen, he was just making sure that the team was having an amazing time on the court. One of my favorite memories was at a Halloween school dance where he showed up in costume and 2 minutes in just breaks out in full choreographed dance, and everyone just cheered him on and danced right along with him because to us he was more than just a teacher, he was a friend, and so many of us respected him for that. I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to share these few memories with you. I hope you enjoyed them, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Hi Max, my name's Shayna. I was a student of your dad's. He was my math teacher and health teacher, gym teacher. He was my coach on a bunch of teams. He was a really kind, compassionate, funny, strange man. We used to watch YouTube videos on our off days and things like that. And he always went this, a step above what was required. So when he saw that I was really struggling with math, he started to meet with me once or twice a week after school for months so that he could help me with my math homework and help me learn, not just help me pass the course, which was really incredible. He was a really incredible man, and he was so loved, and we miss him a lot.
I was a student at the school where Saul taught. I mostly had him as a substitute, and when he came in, he knew no one wanted to do any work, so he'd bargain with us. We'd do a little bit of work, and then he'd do some impressions and jokes. He had a lot of impressions and jokes. Saul did some of the best animal impressions I've ever heard, especially pigs. He could make a really good oink. And listening to those impressions, that's how I learned how funny Saul was, and how easily he could make people smile and laugh and feel good. When I was a kid and I went out in the sun for a while, sunscreen was useless. I didn't get burned, but no matter what I did, I looked like this. And I remember when I was young, Saul told me that when he was a kid, he looked like that too. And when the other teachers would be worrying, especially when I would be playing sports a lot, he'd just say, no, that's just how we tan. we tan red. And I thought it was funny. But I also remember that it made me feel better about myself. And that's another thing that Saul did. He knew how to make people feel better about themselves, feel comfortable, feel like they belong. So whether it was talking about sports, singing songs, doing funny dances, making jokes, or just helping people out, Saul always knew how to make people feel good and feel better about themselves. And he always did. And that's all you can ask for. So Saul was awesome.
Hey Max, it's me, Nika, or Kika. I feel like I'm filming a YouTube video. Like I feel like very much a vlogger right now, but anyway. So I wanted to quickly make this video for you as part of a bunch of videos I'm sure you're watching right now about who Saul or your dad was to me and to, I think, a lot of people I know. So I first met him as Mr. Swartz. He was my teacher. He was my, what class was it? It was some sort of math. Math was never my strong suit. And I really struggled in math class. And he always made sure that I felt like I was with the rest of the class, that, you know, if I was shy to ask certain questions in front of everyone, he would stay even half an hour after class, 45 minutes after class, just to talk about, you know, the questions and go through things and like reteach things to me 1,000 times because I just wouldn't get it. And so as a teacher, he always made me feel so smart and so supported and just never alone, which was really, really important to me and really meant a lot to me. And I know he did that for a lot of other people. But beyond just being an amazing teacher, he was a support human being to so many of us. And like whether it was, you know, a few specific things come to mind that I think I've told your mom before, but during those times after class, he would sometimes, like, if I was really, you know, upset during class one day, or I was clearly texting under my desk like I shouldn't have been, like a bad student, he would always make sure to come talk to me and to see, you know, what's going on. You seem preoccupied. You seem like, you know, distracted. And he would, I think my point is that he would always just take the time with all of us to see what's going on beyond just school. Like, it wasn't ever about just the grades. It was always about how are you as a human being and like, what can I do to help with your situation? And I won't ever forget it. Like, he always gave me the exact advice that I needed to get out of a not so great situation, or like the exact advice that I needed to, you know, just have the energy to push through something and to like get a really good end result for something. And even in volleyball, I wasn't great at volleyball either. So, but I was on the team, and I remember once he wouldn't leave that day until I learned how to be able to volley or like bump this volleyball when it bounces off the net. And I remember we stayed there for so long until I managed to do it. But that's just the type of guy that he was, is he wanted to show all of us how great we were, and he wanted all of us to see ourselves the way he saw us, which he, for some reason, saw so much potential in all of us, and he always just was the guy that everyone wanted to see in the hallway, and like everyone wanted to have in their life, because he just cared so much when he didn't have to. He didn't need to do those things, but he really cared about us, and he was like the dad or the uncle or the friend that a lot of us needed and wanted in our lives. And I'm so grateful for the friendship that I was able to create with him. And you're a pretty lucky guy to have him as your dad, to have Pat as your dad, to have Tara as your mom, and all your amazing siblings and all the animals in your house currently. You're just a really lucky dude to be able to have those things. And while this was very poorly worded, I hope you see in these videos just how much of a superhero your dad was to so many of us, and still is. And yeah, buddy, you're a lucky guy. Anyway, happy belated birthday, and looking forward to your YouTube channel. Bye, guys.
Hi, Max. So, in honor of your dad's 40th birthday, it's been really nice for me to think back about some of the many happy memories that I have of him. I called your dad Mr. Swartz because he was my teacher at school for many, many years, and he taught me math and gym. It's funny because I was never really good at math and I was never really good at sports, but even so, I always loved classes with your dad. He always made school feel like fun, and he always made sure that no matter what we were learning, no matter what subject, all of us always understood what was going on and that we were doing well in class, even if that meant extra help. And for me, that meant a lot of extra help, especially with math, and I really appreciated that. One really fun memory I have of your dad is that when we were in grade 4 on Halloween, your dad came to class that day dressed up as a nurse. He had an all-white nurse's scrubs outfit, and he brought a bag with him that he said was his first aid kit, but when he opened it up, it was full of candy for all of us, so we were very, very excited. I'll also remember always how in gym class, your dad taught us how to do a lunge, so something like this, but he never called it a lunge. He had us put our hands on our hips like this, and he told us it was called waiting for the bus with attitude. And I've always thought that was awesome. I'll also always remember laughing really hard in your dad's classes. He would often show us really funny videos on YouTube about cats, and I loved that. And I'll also always remember how one morning when I was in grade 10, in your dad's grade 10 math class, he came to class and he told us that he had a very special announcement. And he went on to say that your mom, who we called Mrs. Swartz, was pregnant with you. Max, I think you're growing up to be so much like your dad, and I know he would be so, so proud of you.
All right, this is going. Hey, how's it going, Max? Hey, T. And hey, Saul. Hope you're listening from above. Happy birthday. It would have been your dad's 40th birthday. Sorry, T, that I took a little longer than expected to get this done for Max. And so I just wanted to tell Max, who I am. I'm Alan, and I'm a music teacher at the Academy for Gifted Children, PACE. And that's where your mom and dad met and where we all worked together. And it was really great. It was a lot of memories, a lot of laughs, and just a lot of great things that came from me knowing your dad. And one of them would be the Blue Jays. We both love sports, and we both love talking about the Blue Jays. And we actually even went to a game, and every time I go to a Blue Jays game, I always think of your dad, and I always, even watching it on TV, I always think of that time when we did have a chance to go watch the Jays, and just from our talks about, things we liked and things we didn't like about the Blue Jays. But yeah, it's always nice to remember the Blue Jays with your dad. We also played cards. We loved playing poker, and I would win some, but your dad always won. Your dad was definitely better than me. I guess with his experience with math and knowing odds, I was more of the risk taker and more of the gambler. So I'm just more of I guess first time, lucky, just really lucky at certain times. But your dad was definitely more skilled than I was at poker. Another thing too was food. We both loved food, and we liked talking about Montreal-style smoked meat, particularly from Swartz's Deli in Montreal. Hopefully, if you ever get a chance to visit Montreal, you should check it out and try some smoked meat. Sushi was a big thing too. We'd go to all-you-can-eat sushi and stuff our faces and basically try to eat as much as we can. But that was another good memory from us from your dad and I and your mom hanging out, and even coming out to my birthday parties. Saul would and your mom would come out, and even your aunt came out to one of my parties, and it was really cool. And I definitely miss your dad, and I really hope you enjoy this video. You know a little bit more about me. Again, I would have prepared something a little bit more and actually play something, but I'm kind of in the middle of doing Uber Eats, and as you notice, I'm in my car. So anyway, we'll definitely hopefully try to catch up at some time in the future, and I hope this kind of helps you out with knowing who I am, and knowing that I knew your dad and that I miss him a lot, and I always think about him. And happy birthday, Saul. All right, we're thinking of you always. And thanks for listening, Max. Thanks, T. Have a good day. Later.
Hi, Max. My name is Carrie, and I was a friend of your dad's, and I'm a friend of your mom's. We actually all met each other when we worked at the school, and your dad and I both had a love for science. So oftentimes he would come into the classroom and help me with dissections, and we had a lot of laughs. It was really fun to have him there. Your dad was an excellent teacher. He loved the students. The students loved him back. He was so excited and energetic in the classroom. You would have loved to have had him as a teacher. He was also well liked by everybody. I can't think of anybody that didn't like your dad. He was a great guy. And you know what? We all really miss him, but we're so lucky that we did know him in the past. Other memories I have of your dad is we used to actually play hockey together as well. And he came out and he started playing with my team, and we also had a lot of fun there. So, love you tons. I'm glad that you have all these wonderful memories of your dad. Take care, sweetie.
Hi, Max. It's Carrie. I was thinking of the best way to describe your dad. So here it is. Picture all the kids in your class at school. Who do you think's the smartest? Picture that kid. Now picture the sportiest kid in your class, the one who loves to play, has a competitive streak, but is still really, really fun to play with. All right, so now think of the nicest kid, the one that makes you laugh, the funniest kid. Well, your dad, he was all of those combined. When I worked with him at the Academy for Gifted Children, he made us laugh every day. I loved hanging out with him and your mom, and they were so proud to show you off.
I'm here to honor and celebrate what would have been Saul's 40th year of life, and I can say for certain that the world definitely misses him. Saul had such a giving spirit. He would generously offer resources and assistance when at work, and life advice whenever I was going through a personal challenge. He often opened the doors of his home to share meals with me and always made me feel like I was a part of his family. When you were first born, Max, I came to see you at the house, and I was really nervous about holding you because you were this tiny little fragile baby. But both your mom and dad reassured me that we would be fine, and they ended up placing you into my arms, which is a memory I definitely cherish. Saul had a way of lighting up any room by making others laugh with his unique stories, his funny facial expressions, most importantly, his super cool dance moves. He had a way of making others feel comfortable and at ease, like when he brought me out of my shell and got me to join a volleyball team. He was definitely competitive at times, but in between those moments, he would make up moves like the chicken wing bump to make us laugh, and he always encouraged each member of the team to just do the best that they could. Tara and Max, you were Saul's world. The love he had for you was very clear, and he would be so proud of you in the way that you honor his life and generously give to those still battling cancer. I miss him dearly, but I know his spirit lives on in all of the people who he opened up his life's journey to, so that we could have a touch of Saul magic. I love him, I miss him, and Saul, I wish you the best 40th birthday, looking down on all of those who love you dearly.
Hi, my name is Carolyn, and I had the pleasure of working alongside Saul at Pace, and this is where a fantastic friendship emerged. There are so many special things about Saul, and when I reflect on who he was, it's hard to really put into words what an impact he had on other people. He was extremely caring, absolutely hilarious, and always saw good in others. But I also think of some particular characteristics or loves of Saul. I would say he was bordering on obsessed with all-you-can-eat sushi. So much so that I believe he probably put a couple of businesses out of business, pursuing his passion. He seemed to particularly enjoy cat videos on YouTube, watched an awful lot of those. He loved all things sport, but I believe that his favorite gym class or unit was, in fact, dance. And he loved to give hugs, and he gave the best of them. He, more than anything else, loved other people and wanted them to be happy. He cared so much about others, but most of all he cared about you and your lovely mom.
Hi Max, this is Angie. I just wanted to take a little time to share with you one of my fondest memories of your dad. So one day at work, because we worked together, they decided to wax the floors. And so the floors were shiny and brand new looking, and I was wearing a brand new pair of boots. And I walked into the staff room very quickly, and I slipped on the nice shiny floor, full throttle. My feet were up in the air, and I just fell smack down on the floor. Your dad happened to be sitting at one of the staff room tables, and so I slid near him. I crawled over to him, and he opened his arms and put my head in his lap and said, "Don't worry about it, Angie. No one even saw." And he tried to make me feel better. He let me rest there as long as I needed to because I was so embarrassed. And so he was in no rush to let me get up. He just gave me the comfort that I needed, and he waited for me to be ready to get up, and at which point he said that I fell gracefully and I looked good even falling. And so I tell you this story because your dad was a very loving person, and he was fun, and he didn't mind embarrassing himself, and he didn't mind stepping out in front of people in order to have someone else have some sort of comfort or enjoyment. Your dad was not perfect, and he would want you to know that because he doesn't want you to be perfect either. I think your dad would have told you to enjoy life and to know that he's proud of you no matter what you do, and that he loves you no matter what you do. And so I think he would have wanted you to know that. I was blessed to know him, and if you ever wanted to know more about him, please feel free to call me or text me or anything like that, and I will share so many more memories of your dad.
Max, it's your cousin Jordan. I just wanted to say a few things about your father, who was a great guy. We both love to eat, and your father introduced me to many different restaurants and lots of different food, and we always ate a ton when we were both together, whether it was subs, whether it was pizza, or going to Smash Kitchen and Bar. I remember meeting him there with his family, and yeah, it was a great time, as well as more specifically, Belly Busters was the place that your father introduced me to many years ago when I was, I don't know, 6 or 7 years old, around there. And I've been going ever since then, and it's just phenomenal. I remember that when your father babysat me, he would always bring either Belly Busters or we would order Mr. Sub, which was also a big time favorite of his. So that was something that we always had a great time doing, is just eating. And your father used to play ball hockey with me in my basement and watch sports and just hang out. And he was always just a great guy to hang out with and, just be around. So just wanted you to know that. Thanks.
Hi, Max. This is your cousin Mitchell. Just wanted to give you a couple of my thoughts on your dad, Solomon. And I would say the way we really got to know your dad was because he was our favorite babysitter. So me and Jordan would always have him or Jeffrey come over, and we were so excited to have him around because he wanted to do what we wanted to do. So Jordan was really into sports and watching sports and playing sports, but I loved cartoons. So what Solomon would do is when he would come over, he'd put on a pot of Kraft dinner for both of us, and then we'd sit down and we'd watch a lot of cartoons, and one of our favorites was this really weird show called Sheep in the Big City. Now, I'm sure that this show isn't around anymore. I don't think it was on for very long. And it was definitely a strange, peculiar, funny show. But I just want to show you a clip of the sort of thing that Solomon and I really bonded over. The kind of humor we really both liked.
Poor Sheep remembers his days back on the farm. Oh, poor little guy. If only someone would give him a sign!
Sheep convention. All sheep welcome. This is a real sheep convention, not a trap. I like to read.
So yeah, you can see that's a really goofy, silly show that we both happen to love. And that's because your dad was the goofiest person that has ever been. And I really mean that in the best way possible, because what was important to him was that as long as everyone was getting along and being nice and kind to each other, the biggest priority was making sure that everyone was having a good time. And that is important, to enjoy life and enjoy things that are goofy and over the top, because that's what makes it enjoyable. So, if you ever want to see Sheep in the Big City, I think I have some copies. But whatever you do, just remember to be goofy, like your dad, Solomon.
Hi, Max. I'm your cousin Steven from Boston. And you don't know me, but I know that you are the luckiest boy in the world. You have a great family who loves you dearly, myself included. But most importantly today, because of who you come from, and that's your mom and your dad. Your dad, Solomon, my cousin, was one of, if not the best person I've ever known. Your dad had the ability to make everybody that he ever met, even if it was just for 1 minute or 1 day, feel so very special. He knew everybody's name. He knew how to make people laugh. He just had a aura about him that everybody could connect to in a way that you can't teach, just something that was in him. And what's so special about that is that he continues to do that today. He still connects with us. He still makes us feel special. And he does that all through you, buddy. Your family and those who love you, or even don't know you, or you don't know them, we see pictures of you, we see videos, and we see a lot of him in you. You are so very lucky. Your father and your mother are just great, great people. You make your father proud all the time. You make us proud as your family. But as we're talking about your father on what would have been his 40th birthday, and telling you who he was from our perspective. He was bigger than life, bud. He really was. I'll tell you one story that sticks out in my mind is when I came with my family to your mom and dad's wedding in Toronto. We came from, the United States. We traveled pretty far, and your dad and mom and family just had so much going on that weekend. Everybody coming in, this and that, and I will never forget, in the middle of your dad's wedding weekend, your dad pulling me aside and asking me what I needed. That's just the kind of person he was and is. He always wanted to make sure that other people were taken care of and felt special. I think about him all the time. I think about you and your family all the time. I love you. We love you on behalf of myself, my wife Jamie, my sons Logan and Lincoln, who you can actually see right behind me, and our extended family. We say happy birthday to your dad, and we are so very proud of you, bud. I hope to see you soon. I hope our paths cross, and I hope that I get a chance to see in person that glimmer of awesomeness that your father has left in your eyes. All right, bud? We love you.
Hi, Max. We are so excited to talk to you about one of our favorite people, your daddy Solomon.
Thinking about him got us thinking about photos we could share, and after careful consideration, we knew there was one set that would be absolutely perfect.
So back in the day, we used to hang out all the time. We would get together most weekends. One weekend, when you were about 3 months old and your cousin Landon was about 16 months old, we all decided to do a fun outdoor fall photo shoot together.
Except it rained on the day we had planned.
But of course, your daddy suggested that we not let the rain ruin our plans. He never let the rain, or really anything negative, get in the way from enjoying life to its fullest.
So we moved around some furniture in our house and set up a photo shoot.
And we ended up calling it the Grumpy Photo Shoot because you and Landon just wouldn't cooperate or smile.
I remember your daddy trying his best to coax a smile out of you, tickled you, sang to you, made silly noises, blew raspberries on your tummy, you name it, he tried it.
This photo shoot reminds us so vividly of just how much fun your daddy was. Doing anything with him was fun. Though this grumpy photo shoot could have been something we looked back upon with our own grumpy memories, we have the best memories from that day. Your daddy made the most out of every situation, always finding the happiness, joy, and sunshine within it.
Hi Max, Uncle Larry here. I'm not sending you any jokes. I just wanted to pay tribute to you. You are a kid who has always been loved. You are surrounded by love. And this love came from your sweet mom, Tara, and of course from my nephew, Solomon. He was a great nephew, and you are my great, great nephew. That's no joke. Love ya.
Hi, Max. What I remember best about your dad is how family-oriented he was. He always made a point of keeping in touch with everyone, finding out what was going on with all of us, calling us on New Year's Eve to say Happy New Year, and just making sure that he was involved in everybody's life, which was really special for us.
Hi Max, it's your Auntie Lacey. So as your daddy's oldest sister, I have quite a few stories about your daddy. One in particular I think you will like is this. So when he was about 4 or 5, he was upstairs at Bobby and Zadie's getting ready for bed, and he was buck naked. And Bobby wanted him to do something that he didn't want to do, and he had quite the temper tantrum. And he marched downstairs, and he says, I'm not going to stay here anymore. And he put on his rubber boots and walked out the door. And I just looked at Rachel and said, did he just walk out naked? Does he know that he's naked? And a couple minutes later, he comes back in. Oops, didn't realize I was naked. He so enjoyed being naked. And I have to tell you, when he was a little boy, he had quite the fiery temper to go with that fiery red hair of his. Hope you like that story. We'll find more for another time. I love you. Bye.
Hey Max, so your father was a really important person in my life. His sense of humor rubbed off on me from a very young age, which is why I'm so funny now. And he actually showed me how to play video games for the first time when I was your age, maybe a little bit younger. First game we ever played was Super Mario World on his Super Nintendo, which was in Bobby and Zadie's basement and is still there. Every time a new video game system came out, he would buy it right away and show me how to play it. I remember once we played Super Mario Galaxy on his Wii for hours, and Bobby and my mom got a little bit upset at us. Yeah, he was really funny, he was really kind, and you remind me a lot of him, and I think he'd be really proud of you.
It's your Auntie Rachie. Hi Max, it's your Auntie Rachie. When I was asked to share a video of your dada, I didn't know where to start. There's so many memories together from growing up and then going to the same schools, and then the same university and the same camp. Got lots of trouble together, and we had a lot of fun together. One of my earliest memories of your dada, though, when he was 3 years old, and we went shopping at the Bay with Bobby and Zadie, and we didn't have good time on our hands, and I convinced him that a pair of underwear was the new hat of the season. So he took the underwear proudly and put it on his head and started walking around the store showing off his new hat / underwear. He was equally convincing as well. He convinced his grade 5 teacher that he got backstage passes to the Bryan Adams concert in Japan. So when Bobby came to pick him up that day, and she said, "Oh, have a wonderful trip to Japan, how exciting." Your dada was unique, we know that. And of course, one of the most unique features about him was his red hair. One day, when Bobby and Zadie came up to camp to visit us, this was Bobby's reaction. Your dada had shaved off all his hair on a dare from his cabin mates. Supposedly, the 2.5-hour drive back to Toronto was all of Bobby saying, "I can't believe he did that. He did that to his beautiful hair. Oh my goodness." Your dada was the only person in this family, boy or girl, to have his ears pierced, and had more shoes than Auntie Lacey, Bobby, and I probably combined. He did love his fashion. He told a great story, and he was a performer, just like you. He had a twinkle in his eye, just like you, and he was one of a kind, just like you.
Hi Max. Your dad was my big brother and my best friend. We played together every day as kids, whether it was street hockey, baseball, basketball, collecting hockey and baseball cards, Lego, Transformers, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And we were also very good at fighting. Your dad sat on my ankle and sprained it, and I may have knocked out one of his teeth one day. And together we broke many things at your Bobby and Zadie's house, including the wall, the screen door, a glass cabinet, and even Bobby and Zadie's bed. But no matter what, we always blamed each other, or Rachel. I am very lucky to have had a big brother. He helped shape me into who I am, and I will always be grateful to him.
I remember Solomon at birth. And there he was, and everybody said, and I said, "Wash the blood off his hair." And everybody laughed, but they couldn't, because his hair had a red brush cut. That's how he was born.
One of my favorite things about Saul is how he was always just so much fun to be around. He was such a funny, silly guy, and he always wanted to have a good time. He wasn't afraid of embarrassing himself. I remember him entering a hula dancing competition in Hawaii, or dance competitions at bar mitzvahs, or he hung out with me under the dining room table, building a fort so that we could eat glow-in-the-dark yogurt and tell ghost stories. He was just so much fun, and he brought a life into the room whenever he was around.
Hi, Max. I hope you enjoyed hearing all of the memories from your dad's students, family, friends, co-workers, and people who loved him. The last memory that I want to share about your dad is the final memory that he left for you. Shortly before your dad died, he left you a letter. I'd like to read that letter for you today. He says, Max, I love you more than you can know. I am so sorry that you will not be able to spend as much time with me as I would have liked. Seeing you arrive into the world was one of the greatest highlights of my life. Seeing that I created you was just so special. I can only leave you with some parting words. Number 1, don't behave. What I mean by that is don't do the things that people expect of you. Do what you want and need to do. 2, love. A lot. Find someone who makes you truly happy. Then make them as happy as they make you. 3, live every moment for what it is, a moment to do something special. When it comes to school, choose something that makes you excited. Live every moment to excite you. Just remember, through the thick and the thin of everything, Daddy loves you. Never forget that.